Hello, I'm Enzo, and today I'll be playing TerraTech. And in this episode of TerraTech Builds, I'll be going over my hovering aircraft carrier. This tech has been a long time in the making. It's taken me forever to figure out just about everything on how to build this. The hardest part was definitely figuring out how to make it hover properly. Techs, when they hover, naturally kind of like to go up, like this. It's a problem that all of my other hovering techs face. And as you can see, I haven't even gotten it completely under control here. How did I fix it? Well, it's kind of complicated. It's not a real fix. It's basically just gyroscopes and thrusters. That's pretty much the solution to it. The tech will balance itself out after it stops, and even if it gets pushed or anything, it won't actually move. That's why I love the Better Future stabilizing computer so much. Normally, it would tilt up a lot more. I've kind of figured out why that happens. If you have thrusters just completely throughout the tech, it will tend to angle upwards a bit more. What I've done here is I've actually put thrusters in the back only and at the top. What that does is it kind of forces the tech down a bit so you're not at a crazy angle. And if you go at too crazy of an angle, you'll actually kind of fly back and you won't really get anywhere. So I'm glad to have at least found a temporary solution to it. When you're going in reverse, it actually tends to angle downwards, like it should. The top speed for this tech is around 35 miles an hour going forward. For going backwards, I've gotten around 34 to 33 miles an hour. Here we get 32 miles an hour. It also usually depends on your height to the ground. It's just how hover works, and it's really bizarre. Let's get on to the main design of this tech. It's a very, very interesting tech. I named it after the Siren aircraft carriers in Azure Lane. I just love the idea of like a dual flight deck aircraft carrier. That's why I was inspired to build this. I tried my best with the limited building space I had to recreate the Siren aircraft carriers, and I think I did a pretty good job. Sure, it is way taller than it should be, but halfway down, I think that's supposed to be under the water, at least in my opinion, so it kind of works. And plus, that's where I store all the stuff I need. The top half here, this is all hangar. The bottom half is batteries and hover and everything else I need. I don't remember just how long this took me to make, but I know it was a very long time, many hours. But I'm extremely proud of how it turned out. For the design, I tried to go into as much detail as physically possible to recreate the Siren aircraft carrier. We have 4 guns on the side here. These 2 are slightly bigger than the 2 in the middle, just like in the same design. And both sides are completely perfectly mirrored. It took me a while to do, yes, but I did it. Up here on the conning tower, these white pillars are, I believe they're supposed to be radars. These black pillars are the smokestacks. And this is kind of the command module of it all. I think it looks really neat, and it's pretty good for what I have with this limited building space. But you'll notice one thing, there's a giant hole in the middle. That's where the elevator is. The issue with this design is I actually couldn't figure out where the elevator is. I don't know if there was one elevator in each side of the flight deck, or if there was one in the middle somehow. Because they never really show how the aircraft appear on the carriers. I could have made 2 elevators, but that introduces a lot of problems. First of all, I believe the elevators would have been way smaller than what this one is. And this elevator is so small already, that would be really unfortunate. And having 2 elevators just means more text, more blocks, and much more lag, so I did not want that. So let's take a look at the interior. Now, the hangar has quite a bit of space. It's not as big compared to my other aircraft carrier, but it's pretty good for what this is. It's all armor plated inside, and it has chargers. The armor plates are to prevent me from placing any blocks in here by accident, you know, the usual, and to make it less laggy. So if I'm trying to place a block over there somewhere, it doesn't try to place inside. You can also see I use the Geocorp jet engines. These are like my new favorite thruster. They are so incredibly powerful, I love them. Especially because they're tiny and very good to use. Before we get to anything too crazy, let's talk armor. This tech has the most advanced armor I've made in this game. I think Purifier's still technically stronger, but for an aircraft carrier, this thing can take quite a beating. All the sides are made out of my usual blocks, 4 armor, spike armor, and 4 armor extensions. The same thing I use on every other ship I build. But this one's special. I usually only have just like the 4 armor and 1 block behind it or 2 blocks behind it. This one has a 2 block behind it system. As you can see, we tear it away, we get 2 blocks, and then you actually also have to face the armor plates in the back. Now, if you shoot all those blocks, yeah, the armor plates come off. But still, incredibly powerful armor for an aircraft carrier. This tech is a bit more complicated if you actually want to set up the elevator. Now, unfortunately, I don't like to have to do extra steps, but for what it is, you kind of have to. So this one also uses the system where you just take out the blocks and it reveals the elevator. If we can... Now, for some reason, this little elevator part doesn't always like to stay lined up. I have no clue why it does it, it's just game. Yeah, see, sometimes if you don't... Alright, we got it in perfectly. Nice. And it's my usual controls. 1 is what I use to go up, 3 is what I use to go down. You have to keep it going up if you want to stay up, because if you don't, it will just fall down. It has anti-gravity, but it still technically has gravity, so it will fall. But besides that, this is just my normal elevator system. I'm considering making a upgraded version of this aircraft carrier soon. I'll use the same one, just make a new save of it and upgrade it a bunch. My main feature is actually going to be a better elevator. I'm actually considering removing the conning tower completely and just making it all elevator right here. I think that'd be a really cool addition to this tech. This plane is the Striker 1 Mark II A-Mod. It's one of the aircraft I showed off in the last video. This one was actually specifically designed for this aircraft. I knew I had a very small elevator, meaning I needed a special aircraft for this carrier. Now, I can actually fit about 5 of these aircraft on each flight deck. Now, these Strikers aren't really that special. They just have an on and off switch. Now, that was a horrific landing, and I even got stuck into the tech. But the coolest part? Look at the aircraft carrier. It's hovering. I just landed on a hovering aircraft carrier. And it's still completely stationary. Unless you actually bump into it with a tech of decent size, this carrier usually won't budge, which is pretty neat. Now, landing is tricky, as always, but it's more tricky on a carrier like this because you have such a limited space to actually land. Now, there's that option of just falling or dive bombing onto it like usual. But let me try a real landing. For that, how about we take off? I turned back on the anti-gravity, because if you don't, you'll kind of fall off the ledge. And when you have an anti-grav tech like this, it's extremely easy just to take off. Now, landing is interesting. Yeah, that's about what happens. No matter what, you can't get a perfectly smooth landing where you just roll onto it. At least not with my techs. But still, that was actually a pretty good landing. Let's raise up the elevator next. Now, yeah, you can kind of see how small of an elevator this is compared to other techs. But I think it'll be fine. I mean, this tech was specifically built for this elevator. Now, it's having some troubles because this is a pretty heavy tech, actually. But it stays up. Even if you lower it to 0, it'll just fall down normally. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get the camera to angle where you want it. From there, you do have to build beam because that's like a weird slope there. I use those blocks just because it's easier to get the elevator to fit down in there. And it actually doesn't connect to the elevator parts either. If we're lucky, we might actually get to see the chargers activate. This is one of the last things I added in, and it's most importantly to charge the elevator so that it, can keep going. But it also works as chargers for planes and stuff. So I actually spawned this plane right here, or on one of the sides, and the chargers just charged on the ground, meaning I can turn on anti-grav and fly up and into the tech. Pretty cool. And up we go. Well, you have to give it enough power. And this one actually has an issue where it does get stuck. So you just gotta go to full power. It'll kind of throw your tech up in the air, but it's fine. Landing or hitting other allied techs doesn't actually deal damage. And yeah, it's hard to... You have to build beam over that. Turn that off because that's annoying. And boom. I think I actually went... No, I went the right way. This is the back end. This is the front. You can tell it has a triangle pointing out there. That's just flat. Alright. Oh, I actually forgot to turn on anti-grav, and you can see what happens. Anyways, that's the takeoff landing elevator of this tech. How about we get onto the fun parts, weaponry. We'll start with aircraft armament. You can fit about 5 of my A-mod strikers on one of the flight decks, or you can fit a few less of the different versions of the strikers, or different aircraft. I even have a VTOL on here. You can actually land a VTOL pretty well on this aircraft carrier. The only issue that actually limits what aircraft you can actually carry is the size, because you don't really have much room to fit aircraft in this hangar. It's a huge hangar, but the downside is a small elevator, so that kind of hampers what aircraft you can bring in. But that isn't going to stop me from trying. Actually, it might. I'm thinking if I can just get one to wriggle down into there. Yes, okay. Sure, I don't think it's ever possible to get this tech back out, but we got it in. I think. Relatively. Now, the VTOL actually fits in the carrier very well. It's short enough, I believe. Yeah, it's pretty short, but you can actually fit it in the elevator like this instead of going into the elevator. Now let's see. Yeah, it actually fits really well. The elevator doesn't want to go down. Pretty neat. Also, while we're here, the actual capacity of the hangar really just depends on what aircraft you put in it. I think I can fit around 7 to 8 of my Striker A-mods. I can fit around 3 on each side, especially if you can get them into that corner there. But you can also fit one here, and you can also fit one on the elevator. Yeah, so I've also found success placing the Strikers like this. I know it makes it more awkward to take them out, but hey, it works. One other thing I do kind of forget about is just how tall I actually made this hangar. It's, what, like 9 blocks tall? So yeah, I can actually fit most of my Strikers in here without having to remove the top fin or anything. I know it's a mess, but through careful positioning, I somehow managed to fit 9 techs in here. The crazy part is some are actually different sizes, like the VTOL, which actually fits perfectly right here. I don't know about taking the elevator out so much, but I can move it. There's a bunch of A-mods everywhere. There's even the jet engine. I think I might be able to fit another one right there. Maybe not. But still, pretty impressive for what this is. The techs actually decide to stay in place. Well, if they're bumping into other techs, then yeah, of course they'll stay. We've definitely slowed down a little bit. That's due to all of the mass inside of this tech, but incredibly impressive for a dual flight deck aircraft carrier. Let me talk about the only downsides to this tech. There are only a few downsides in my opinion. First of all, it's an aircraft carrier. It has very weak defenses, and you should usually have another tech protecting it. It has 2 very small flight decks. Now, normally I just do a full-size flight deck and boom, you can land anything on it. But you have to be a bit more skilled to land stuff on here. Next, the elevator. Yeah, the elevator is disappointing to me too. That's why I want to make a new version with a more powerful elevator. But also, once this tech gets into combat, the elevator is the first thing to go if it's a separate entity. 281 blocks, 177 armor plates. You guys get it. 769 2 blocks, 503 medium plates. About 1,853 4 blocks. That shows you how powerful the armor is. 774 large armor plates, 2,141 6 blocks. You guys get the picture. I mean, I don't even think there are as many blocks for anything else. Yeah, 312 Geocore batteries, and I think they're like, yeah, 214 Hawkeye batteries. Yeah, this is definitely a sandbox or creative only thing. After a very long journey, we made it to the turret run. I think it's about time we turned on the shields. I have these two modules up here so I can turn on or off the shields or change the hover power. Let's see. I don't think I'll actually hit that. Yeah, I'm too high up. Neat. Let's see if our guns actually aim at this, or if it's too far away. They're moving. So we have one cruiser gun in the front. We gotta slow down to aim properly. Then we have two of these dual purpose cannons on each side, and two of these smaller autocannons on each side. There's also a cruiser gun in the back. That's pretty much it. I think we're still too close. These are mostly meant to be anti-air and side defenses, not primary front defenses. But these are incredibly powerful guns from the Naval Guns mod. That's why I use them. They're so fun for me. I think we're still too far. Yeah, we're still too close. These guns have an insane range, so you can fire from pretty much anywhere. I guess we're just way too high up. Hey, we actually got a striker out. Well, mostly. Wing was clipped to the side, but let's go. Now that we have a striker, we can actually do something. It's fully charged thanks to our chargers, anti-grav is on. The issue with strikers is that their missiles take forever to recharge, and sometimes they don't even fire when it's too laggy, so you gotta spam space and hope it works. Come on. Now, the aircraft carrier is capable of combat itself, of course, but it's an aircraft carrier. Its whole purpose is to launch aircraft to do its missions for it. I guess we're out of range of the carrier now. That was not very far. As you can see, our frames have returned, so the game looks actually decent again. And yeah, these strikers are incredibly powerful because they have a crazy amount of missiles, but if they get hit by almost anything, they will be destroyed instantly. And that's why I designed like this. It's so that you can have a lot of these strikers on the aircraft, so if one gets destroyed, you just take out another and go back to work. For the turret run, it's not very difficult. I mean, nothing targets you at all, so it's free. Only one you have to be worried about is that one right there. It's the missile turret. That actually has missiles that can intercept slow aircraft. Let me see. Well, thanks to the angle it's firing at, those won't hit me. But if those were angled up, they would have hit. And we actually take out 3 of the 5 techs. Not bad. You can destroy most techs with this amount of missiles in one shot. So let's return back. And we didn't even take that much damage. It makes sense we used up a bunch of battery because we have, 6 small venture batteries, but still, not terrible. I'm scared the aircraft are just going to be scattered everywhere. Maybe not. What if the aircraft actually stayed perfectly in the carrier? And actually, we're on a perfect angle for landing. If somehow I don't screw it up. Perfect. Wow, I'm surprised the tech stayed in one piece. Aircraft carriers don't generally do that for me. That's amazing.
I think everything in there should be an enemy. So I was going to use Purifier at first, but I think that would have been unfair, because I tried to fight this tech with Purifier before, and it was just destroyed instantly. Well, at least the armor was, not the rest of the tech. This tech is hard to kill. But I guess its armor still is pretty easy to destroy. These are pretty powerful guns, though, and we have missiles. So maybe the armor isn't as strong as I gave it credit for. That would be a shame, because it took me a long time to work on this tech. So as long as you stay close to the tech, you won't generally get hit. That's our fire control radar, so we're fine. Oh, we destroyed one plane. Now, if we were to go out a bit further, we would get hit more. Like here, for example. Or is it still... Yep. Yeah, we're taking serious damage. Those guns are no joke. I think we're dead. It's too laggy to tell. Yeah, the most unfortunate part about this is how laggy it makes the game. I'd love this game being anything over, 10 frames a second. Well, preferably 60, but I can wish. Still, we're actually doing pretty good. But this carrier would still be able to function, even if we were destroyed, so our mission is not complete. We need to destroy this tech. and the more aircraft inside it we destroy, it's kind of a bonus. Still, the destroyer's no joke. This thing can take a real beating. Now, this destroyer is actually more gun-focused than torpedoes, or, well, missiles in this case. But for my next video, I'm actually going to be showing off a version of this I'm going to work on that's going to be more missile-focused. And you guys will see. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, so I think we're shooting at a cab somewhere. Well, of course we are. But I don't know which one. This tech has many cabs inside of it. There's like 3 at the top, 1 in the front there. There's like 1 in the middle. There's 1 in the back. So it's probably going to go for the middle or back one first. I think even if this destroyer did have shields on, it doesn't because we don't have any charge. I think we would still be destroyed really quick. Because those guns deal a lot of damage to shields. Still, what's truly interesting to me is how we're only destroying the hangar armor. If we're destroying any of the armor beneath it, we'd actually get into batteries and stuff. So it's weird to me how we're aiming for the middle. I think we might be aiming for the aircraft, actually. And the aircraft are trying to escape the hangar to fight me. It's kind of funny. We've exposed a few batteries there, but I doubt they'll take serious damage. And even if they do, they actually are incredibly resilient. Especially with the healing and shielding bubbles I put in there. Only a few will be destroyed at a time. Oh, see right there. Those are explosions are actually penetrating the armor and destroying batteries. That's, well, technically not a good sign. I think, are we ramming into it? We might be ramming into it. Yeah, so that's what's been going on. I want to have a firing angle for all of our guns to see how much damage we can really do.
Alright, I'm backing off. I'm gonna get Purifier because this is taking way too long. Alright, let's finish this.
Oh, Purifier is way more laggy, but is way more powerful. These battleship guns are incredibly powerful. They just deal insane amounts of damage. Plus all of our secondary guns. Although, I know for a fact this tech is a good challenge against Purifier. Especially with no repair shield bubbles up. So I'm just gonna ram into it. This way our missiles can also hit. Oh, I destroyed something else in there. I took off a cruiser gun there. That's actually, I think that was my cruiser gun. Never mind.
Okay. We were just destroyed horrifically, and that carrier's still somehow alive. That's incredible. Alright, well, when we have absolutely 0 frames a second here, let's try to figure out just the damage we caused. Wow. That's the remains of Purifier right there, but this... that aircraft was almost completely destroyed. I'm pretty sure it was saved by this carrier's repair bubbles. That aircraft was damaged. Wow. That aircraft, I believe, was on the top. That was damaged. Oh yeah, you're not supposed to move the elevator inside. Well, actually, let's see. How badly damaged was the elevator? It's usually the first to go, which is the odd thing. It seems fine. Yeah, it seems like the elevator wasn't damaged at all. Wow. Alright, it seems to have stopped for now. That was really weird. Let's see if I can inspect the damage while I still have control. Ah, I think I see a problem. There are multiple aircraft stuck in here. Interesting. I mean, I guess there's not much more to note, really. This side was almost unharmed. The front was annihilated, but yet the battery armor is just fine. Maybe putting all the cabs higher up is a better idea after all. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of TerraTech Builds. Link to this one will be in the description too. However, I don't think many PCs can actually handle this. So be warned if you do try to use this. You also have to have the Naval Guns mod and the R&D DLC. But still, I wanted to show this off because this is many dozens of hours in the making. It's an incredibly powerful tech. It's a hovering aircraft carrier. I didn't think it could get much better once I built a normal aircraft carrier. But guess what? I made it hover. And it hovers pretty well too. This is going to be Enzo from LookIntoGaming, signing out.